Hello grade 12s and welcome to Life Science. And now we're going to do revision on something that you haven't done in a while, right? And our revision is going to be human impact on the environment. So let's get here, human impact on the environment. So this section is telling me how you as a human, how you mess up the environment or how you can save the environment, right? So this is the impact that we make as humans on our environment all over the place. Right, so let's start off with, if it will go, there we go. Let's start off with the following. Okay, what do the following words or terms mean? Okay, so here they are. Carbon footprint, greenhouse gas, we've got eutrophication, we've got deforestation, and the last one, loss of biodiversity. Okay, so there's a 2, 4, 5. Okay, and I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Make sure you give me exactly what these terms or words mean. Are you ready? Off you go. Okay, so let's see if what I came up with is the same as what you came up with. Okay, first of all, I'm going to change pens here. First of all, carbon footprint. Okay, it's the total amount of greenhouse gases produced to directly, indirectly, so directly and indirectly support human activity. Okay, now you'll notice a lot of companies nowadays, when you build something, you have to cover your your footprint, okay, your carbon footprint. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you cover that. And so in other words, you'll see people, they'll plant trees and make sure that whatever they've done, they're covering themselves. Okay, the next one we have is greenhouse gases. Okay, and your greenhouse gases are gases that contribute to the greenhouse effect by absorbing infrared radiation, or infrared radiation. Now, these greenhouse gases, these are the ones that trap stuff in and go through the global warming. Remember, greenhouse effect is not global warming. Okay? Greenhouse effect can cause global warming. There's a big difference. Okay? You'll go to a nursery and they try and do the greenhouse effect to keep the plants nice and moist and warm. Okay? The next one we have was eutrophication. I love this word, it's a big word. Okay? It's an excessive enrichment of nutrients in a lake or other body of water, right, which frequently due to runoff from the land, which causes a dense growth of plant life. Now, you must understand, normally eutrophication normally comes from farmers, okay? Eutrophication is, for example, if they put what are those things called, fertilizers and all of that, right? And they put it on their ground and it rains a lot and the fertilizer comes and goes into the rivers. What happens is the rivers are nice and fertile with all these minerals. So the algae blossom and grow out of control. And when they grow out of control, they cover the surface of the water. And when they start doing that, they keep on growing, they steal all the oxygen and everything, or they put too much carbon dioxide in the water. And what actually happens is the fish start dying, right? It starts putting nitrates in the water. Okay, so let's put it this way. It doesn't steal all the oxygen. I'm going crazy. What happens is it goes in there, it starts producing nitrates, and that there, as the nitrates grow, makes this grow more, and the more it grows, the less photosynthesis can happen because the ones underneath are busy dying. They can't get oxygen. They start dying off, makes more nitrogen or ammonia and all of that, and it gets worse and worse, and then the fish can't live and the fish get poisoned. Okay, so all the animals start dying because of the plant life or the enriched plant life. The next one, deforestation. This is a huge thing. We don't like it, right? It's the removal of forests or stands of trees so that the land is used for something other than the forest is used for. So they cut away the forest and they put houses, or they cut away the forest and make farmlands. All of that is deforestation, cutting it down to make beautiful furniture, for instance. Just for furniture, we're killing our trees. It's not a very good thing. Okay, if they've planted the trees for that specific thing, different story. Okay, and then the last one that we had a look at is loss of biodiversity, and this is very ending. It's the cessation of or ending of existence of a species or extinction. So in other words, what actually happens is when we lose biodiversity, if something goes through extinction, our biodiversity gets smaller. Biodiversity is different. Things that are different. Okay, we've got a lot of different, our biodiversity of plants in, I think it's in the Cape, or the Northwest, that's so vast and got all different types, lots of different types of flowers. Okay, so South Africa is quite big when it comes to flowers. Okay, now that was the first thing that we want to have a look at. Next thing I'm going to have a look at, because remember we're looking at how we change, okay? And we're going to look at the atmosphere and climate change, okay? We have to look at this. This is quite a touchy subject, especially now at the moment where I am. It's as hot as anything and I'm waiting for that rain, okay? So I'm waiting for that rain to come along, and it's because we've done stuff. Things are changing, climate's changing. So let's have a look. Carbon dioxide emissions are the first thing. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, starts creating that layer across so the heat can't come up, so the earth starts increasing its temperature, and we have the greenhouse effect, which makes the earth warmer, and therefore we don't get as much cold weather or it doesn't rain as much. Okay, next one, your carbon footprint, needed to reduce it. The more carbon footprint we put in, so in other words, the more trees and that we put in, the better it is to get rid of this carbon dioxide emission that's coming from all over the place. Okay, the next one we have is deforestation. With the deforestation, we're going to increase the greenhouse effect and global warming. Okay, if we start cutting down all our trees, okay, first of all, we cannot get rid of that carbon dioxide. I mean, in grade 12, you know about the process of photosynthesis. They take in carbon dioxide, give off oxygen. Okay, now if we cut off or cut down all the things that take in that carbon dioxide and give off oxygen, we're going to run out of oxygen. okay? And there's going to be too much carbon dioxide in the air, which means big layer, it's like putting a blanket on over us, right? So we don't want that to happen. So we need our forests, and the greenhouse effect won't happen if we leave enough trees or we stop doing forestation, okay? Now, deforestation, if we have a look at it, is desertification, droughts, floods, methyl emissions, and ozone depletion. All of this stuff is the things that plants, or should I say what are those things, the trees and all of that stop. Okay, these are very important. We need that. Okay, yes, you're thinking to yourself, okay, how does droughts and floods and all get affected, desertification, all of this? Okay, desertification, if we don't get enough water, if the water is going up into the ground and leaving away, we have a problem. Okay, lands change because of it. All of a sudden, all the water gets taken up here and dropped over there. That goes through drought. That one goes through floods. This one goes through droughts. Both things change. Okay, now let's have a look at it. I think if I have a look at it, one of the most important things that we have is water. Okay, it's a big lifeline, huge lifeline. Everything needs water. You are made up of water. Okay, so let's have a look at it. We're looking at water availability. That's the next thing I want to have a look at, is water availability. How easy is it for us to get water? Okay, so first of all, okay, construction of dams. That's a cool thing. If we construct dams, we save water. Okay, yes, we have a lot more water that can be taken through to all the different areas and to your houses and all of that. The problem is, it also does other things. If we build dams, yes, is a positive. We've saved water, but it destroys, or the destruction of wetland. So if there was water there already, if we keep the water there and make it go further and further, create a big dam, what happens? All the area around it that was a wetland gets destroyed. It's no longer there. Okay, so the wetlands get destroyed. Very important. Or if we there's a wetland here and we put dam over here, so the dam's that side and the wetland's here, what have we done to the wetland? We've stopped the water from getting there. So it's no longer a wetland, now it's a dry land. Not so good. Okay, so wetlands, very, very important. Next one, poor farming practice. Poor farming practice decreases the availability of our water. If we're just wasting water, it doesn't help. It doesn't mean that farmers shouldn't use the water. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm worried about. What I'm talking about is wasting water, which is a big thing. And a lot of farmers, if they've done farming and it's been passed down from generation to generation, have learned how to do this, how to save water, where to get water from. Okay, if you're just pumping water out of a dam all the time, it's going to be a problem. Okay, next one we're looking at, droughts and floods. Okay, floods destroy the biodiversity of wherever we are. Okay, if there's a huge flood in a certain area, not always can you drink that water or use that water. Okay, there's a lot of things in it that's going to destroy it. If it's that is if it's a flood. If it's a drought, what happens? We don't have any more water. Okay, so now we're going to go steal from somewhere, and I don't mean steal as in take without even asking. Yes, we go get from other provinces and bring it across. Costs a lot of money, and then that water can't sustain everybody there. So there's a big problem. No matter how we look at this, right? It's a problem. We need to start looking at how to produce water or how to help save the water. Okay, here's a big one: exotic plantation. Okay, and the replenishing of water table. Now, exotic plantation. There's a reason why our plants are here and why they survive the way they do. If we take plants from somewhere else, they are used to fighting for water, for instance. And the minute we plant them, now they're going to fight for water, but there's so much water available. What do? They suck it up as quick as possible. Okay? If a little bit of water comes, they suck it up as quick as possible as well. So everything that we're talking about gets sucked up. And if they get sucked up, the other plants don't get water. Okay, that is with exotic plantation. Depletion of water table. You must understand, here's a big thing. Our water table, okay, what a water table is, if we have a look here, we have a ground. That's where we're standing, okay? So me and you are standing over here, and we're cool. We don't see any water. But over here, there's a little river running underneath the ground, underneath the layers. Okay, so they get this thing called a borehole, where they drill a shaft all the way down, okay, all the way down. I'm going to erase that. They draw a shaft all the way down, okay, they put a pipe down there. Ooh, well, let's go undo that, because now I'm going mad. Come on. Draw a pipe all the way down there, and they put a little windmill here, okay, and with that windmill, it pumps up all the water for us to drink. Okay, so there's the borehole. Now we've got borehole water. Now borehole water and the effects of aquaries. Aquaries. What actually happens is aquaries, I can't even say that word, and I know I can't. But those are like your springs where the water comes out of the ground. This water dries up. You'll see a lot of farmers nowadays. They will say, oh, I was farming so well, and all of a sudden my borehole dried up. Okay, that's overusing. Okay, and then lastly, wastage. Okay, there's a stuff called grey water, for example, bath water, which you can use to water plants, for instance. Okay, so instead of just pushing it down the drain, you use it for something else. And then lastly, cost of water. Okay, if water becomes expensive, which we'll talk about later, becomes a bit of a problem to use it, or too expensive to use. We won't use as much, which means we'll be saving water. Okay, so I've given you a lot of information. Hopefully it's all gone in. Trust me, you're going to need it, because I'm going to give you some big questions later. So you go have a break. I need a break. I'll see you straight after this. Cheers. Welcome back. Let's have a look at this. I've got a beautiful map in front of me. So if you have a look at this, it's a very nice map. Now you'll see all different colors. Now this is the stuff I'm interested in here. Okay. Now what they're saying is, where it is very red, okay, there is no water. Okay, we're looking for water. There's no water at all, and you can see there's a lot of desert around there. Okay, and if you have a look at where it's light blue, it means there's quite a bit of water. Okay, and if you look at the dark blue, there's quite a bit. Okay, so definitely a good thing to look at. I want you to have a look at our little area here. We've got an orange area, okay, and that is that one. Secure cities. It means there's water. Not a huge amount, but there's enough water. Okay, we need to have a look. There is stressful, okay, which means there's not a lot. We need to work on it. So we don't have a lot of water. So it was just a map to show you how the water is pushed around. And you will notice that where it is normally a lot of ice, there's a lot of water available. Okay, that was just to give you some things. If we carry on looking at water and the quality of water, because you can't just drink any water. Okay, let's have a look at the quality of the water. The water for domestic use or industries or agriculture and mining, that's what we use water for. Okay, and there's different water for certain things. The only problem is, try this out. If we look at pollution, we pollute our waters. We do. I mean, we don't look after it. Some reason we've always got to chuck things in it. There's always papers all over the place, right? We do. We leave our papers and everything over the place. It's a dustbin for a reason. We need to put it in there, right? So pollution is a huge thing. We're talking about oil and, guys on boats. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love boating, climbing on a boat and going on this nice cruise, right? Beautiful. But there's an engine on there, and the engine produces oil, and it's going into the water. So it's kind of a pollution, right? There's the first thing. Okay, diseases. Okay, diseases, huge thing. If you're staying near stagnant water and people keep using it and they go to the toilet in it and they wash their clothes and they do everything, after a while there's going to be a lot of bacteria, and then you're going to start getting diseases like TB and all of that. Right, and then lastly, eutrophication, that big word, and global bloom. Okay, eutrophication, algae bloom. What happens is the algae gets all excited, as I told you earlier, and it creates so much covering over there that there's a lot of death, too much nitrates in the water, and then everything dies inside it. Okay, so that is what happens there. The effects of mining on quality of water is unbelievable. Okay, mining we need. We need it. We need to get some coal. If you want electricity, we need to get coal. Okay? We look at gold, we buy gold, it's one of our big things. So we need gold. Platinum, all these things we mine. But remember, when you mine, you need water. Okay? And the chemicals they use to do this mining is in the water. And then they take the water and they put it in some other place. Now that there can seep into the ground, can run to the estuaries, and it starts polluting our water. So if we have a look at it, mining does pollute the water. And we know this. Okay? What we need to do is find a way to stop it. Okay, next one is thermal pollution. Hold on, thermal pollution. Yeah, very simple. Okay, if I have a hot bath and I take my hot water and I throw it into the dam, what am I doing? I'm putting hot water into the dam. Yes, you're saying to me, well, the dam is cold. If you put hot water in there, it's just going to go cold again. Yes, but if enough people put in hot water into the dam, what's going to happen? Temperature of the dam will rise by a degree. Those fish aren't used to rising by a degree. So you destroy the wildlife. Can you understand? There's always a thing that's happening. You always got to look. There's two things that's happening at all times. Okay. Next thing that we're looking at. All right. There's your water. Have a good look at that. How beautiful is that? That's gorgeous, hey? It is, hey? That's oil on top of water. It's not really nice, hey? Not nice at all. So we don't really like that. Look at this next one, food security. Remember, this is all about how we look at things. Human exponential population growth. In other words, we grow over and over again. I mean, think about it. Mom and dad, there we go, mom and dad, they have 2 kids. Those 2 kids, each one of those kids have 2 kids. Each one of those kids have 2 kids. It's huge. It builds very, very quickly. Okay, so we got exponential growth, our population growth for humans. Okay, droughts and floods when climate change affects us. We know this. Okay, poor farming practices. Okay, monocultural pest controls. All of this stuff is going to affect it. Pest controls start killing animals and that inside the dams that we actually need. Okay, we have loss of topsoil. If you let your cattle graze, for instance, right? You lose all that grass, and then it rains, and all that topsoil goes into the rivers, and the rivers become too fertile, and the same thing happens. Okay, and the need for fertilizers, as we spoke earlier, with eutrophication. Next one, we got alien plants. Now, alien plants reduce agricultural land. Okay, alien plants from overseas that don't belong in this country. Okay, if they're here, what they do is they drink up the water a lot quicker than any of our plants. So our plants suffer because of it. Okay, and if there's alien plants, we can't do agriculture, we can't do farming and all of that. So we have to get rid of them. Okay, next one, the loss of wild varieties. We spoke about it. Biodiversity, very important. And the impact on gene pools. What does that mean? Impact of gene pools. We've spoken about genes, right? The more chance something has to survive, the more chance it survives, the more chance we're going to get genes changing all the time. Okay? And the bigger the gene pool, the better we have. The smaller the gene pool, not very good for us. Okay? Next one, genetically engineered food. Okay, when we start looking at, for example, a beautiful peach. Now, I'm using peaches because I like peaches. And you got this peach and it's about that big, yay big, right? And what happens is the farmer looks at this and says, you know what? That tree over there gives you nice, big fruit like this, but it's sour. So what we do is we're going to mix the two. And let's see, we're going to keep mixing. And we're going to get this big fruit like this that is so sweet and juicy. Perfect. What does it do? Okay, starts sucking up more water, starts pulling up more stuff out of the soil, so now the soil's not useful anymore. So even though we've made a nicer product, we're destroying the land by doing genetic engineering. There's a reason why it was made the way it is. Okay, and then lastly, also wastage. The more stuff we waste, the worse it becomes. Okay, now I got one of these things. Okay, food security. Now this is not so amazing, but have a look at this. This just tells you percentage of household. So the source, it's a percentage of household, and on the side it tells you food insecurities. Okay, so in other words, you don't have much food. So if we have a look, 0, 15, 30, and 45. Okay, remember that's percent. And if I have a look, income to income ratio, we have a lot more here. The more money you get, the more security you've got. The less money, the less you've got. This tells you what food and how we use it. Okay, so it was just something I was going to show you. And the more money you get, the more food you're going to buy all the time. Okay, now what I've got for you, and now I cannot see it, so I'm going to bring it out and see if I can get it again. I don't know why this is here. Give me 2 seconds. Alien plants, inhabit destroyed. I want to see if I can get rid of that for you quickly. I don't know why it's over here, but it's not the end of the world. Things do change at time. This is something that I wanted you guys to read, so we need to get rid of it. Okay, let's see if we can get it there. Loss of biodiversity. Okay, there we go. If we lose our biodiversity, okay, let's bring this up there. If we lose our biodiversity, we lose more than just our biodiversity, right? We lose more than just our biodiversity. We lose money as well. And the more money we got, the more we can protect things. So if we have a look at it, if we have a loss of biodiversity, habitat destruction. So we destroy it, so we destroy the habitat. So we use farming methods, e.g. overgrazing. Just by doing this, we're changing everything, okay? Try poaching. That's the first thing. Habitats are there. If we start destroying them by using farms, everything changes. If I have a look at poaching, okay? Poaching, if we start killing the rhinos, right? What happens? Things that get eaten by the rhino, things that eat off the rhino, things that eat the rhino, they all suffer as well. So the more that we put in, the worse it becomes. Okay. Next one, alien plants, right? They control chemicals. They make the chemicals they put in the ground. They suck up a lot of water. All of this stuff destroys our biodiversity. They grow faster. They reproduce faster. All of this stuff actually destroys our biodiversity. And the next one, let's see, indigenous knowledge system. In other words, if you know your indigenous areas and you know what's good, you will understand that biodiversity, people come from all over the world to come and have a look at this, especially, for example, the devil's claw, okay, rooibos. Okay, you know this, we normally make a tea out of it, rooibos tea. So rooibos, the fynbos, okay, the African potato, all of these things are famous to us. And if they're famous to us, you're not going to get them anywhere else. Everywhere else, they're disadvantaged. Here, this is where they live. And they get destroyed by alien plants. So we don't just go and plant alien plants all the time, right? It's very, very important not to do that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to have a look at some more. Let's have a look at the solid waste disposal. We need to get rid of waste. Now, I'm just giving you all the stuff that I can in a quick time as possible. Solid waste disposal. We need to get rid of things. You manage dump sites, okay? Rehabilitation, the prevention of soil and water pollution. If we can do this, okay, it'll be better for our environment. Okay, we started doing it. We have. If you have a look at it, people go and recycle plastic bottles. They recycle paper. They do all of this for looking after the environment. Yes, people get paid for it. Brilliant. Brings work in. It does a lot. Okay? The more recycling that happens, the better it is. The less of the environment we can destroy. Okay? Now, needs for recycling, as I was telling, using methane from dumping sites to for domestic use. For example, heating and lighting. So the methane that comes from all of that stuff we can use, recycle it, very good. Safe disposal of nuclear waste. We've got to find a way to break that nuclear waste up and change the way that it is. Okay, now I've got a question for you, so let's have a look at this. Okay, ringing temperature on Earth as a result of enhanced greenhouse effects have led to the melting of the ice glaciers. Plain and simple. The graph below shows the results of an investigation that measures change in the size of the area covered with ice in the Arctic region between 1978 and 2006. So there it is. Okay, so it's given you what has happened. Now, if you ask me, look what's happened to the covering of ice. So yes, some does go up, some does come down again. Okay, now let's have a look if I have a question for you. I'm going to see, there it is. Let's see if I can bring it a little bit higher. Okay, so there's the graph. I'm going to bring it up. You can see I'm going to do that, and there it is. I'm going to give you, okay, I'm going to give you a quick minute. Let's see what it is first. The difference between the size of the area covered with ice in 1970 and the size of area covered in 1998 is something million kilometers. How many million kilometers will it be? You need to go figure that out. I'm going to give you a quick 2 minutes. Are you ready? Off you go. Well, let's have a look what you came up with. Now, it's very, very simple if we have a good look at it, okay? We started off over here, and you'll see it's 7 million kilometers squared. And if you count, each one's 100,000, so it's 7,200,000. 7,200,000. 7,200,000, right? And over here, if you have a look, we're on this line, so let me just keep it going. Okay, and that one is 5,900,000. Okay, so if I had to use a calculator, there it is, come on. If I had to use a calculator quickly, it's 7,200,000. 1, 2, 3, and I'm minus 5,900,000. You will get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1,300,000, and that means, if I minimize that, and that means it is 1,300,000. It is A. Hopefully you got that answer. Right, quick short break, and I will see you straight afterwards. Cheers. Welcome back. Now, let's go into the type of questions that they're going to ask you, okay? These questions have got to do with a lot of reading, and they take reading out of different extracts. So let's have a look at the board, okay? There's an extract that I've got here for you. So the water crisis in South Africa, right? So there it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you exactly a minute to quickly read that. 1 minute to read it. There's one word missing at the end, and I will bring that up right at the end. 1 minute to read it, and concentrate while you read it. Are you ready? Off you go. Okay, so you know what's going on there. Let's have a look at the questions. Now, when we get to the questions, you need to write these questions down as I'm telling it to you so that I can go back to the text and you can find it. Okay, so here we go. 2 questions. Refer to the text and state 2 causes of the water crisis faced in South Africa. That's the first question. 2 causes of the water crisis facing South Africa. That's the first question. Next one, state how important agricultural products for neighboring countries would reduce South Africa's water crisis. Okay, so state which one or how neighboring countries can reduce South Africa's water crisis. Now, if you have a look at that, I'm going to pull that back. I almost gave you the answers there. Think about that. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to quickly do both those questions. In actual fact, no, I'm going to give you 1 minute because I know you can do this. 1 minute, I'm putting the text up again and make sure that you concentrate. Are you ready? Off you go. Okay, so let's have a look at these. You've had a nice read and you've got to the answers, and this is what you have to find in the text. It's very simple. Okay, poor infrastructure. Okay, poor infrastructure affects us. Climate changes, wastage, and pollution of water sources. Those are the 4 things, or the 4 things that gives a water crisis in South Africa. Okay, when we had a look at how neighboring countries' products can help us, if we get products from the neighboring countries, the need for water for irrigation will be reduced. So in other words, we don't need to irrigate or put water on all the millies or all the maize or any of that, so the irrigation costs will come down. So there is a bonus to that. Okay, if we have a look at the next question, still, it's also the text, so don't stress, same text we read earlier. Here we go. 2 questions for you to have a look at it again. I'm going to read through them and concentrate. Explain how switching off water supply would affect the industries that depend on water. That's the first thing. Next one, the South African government could possibly solve the water crisis by increasing the cost of water suggests 2 ways in which this solution could help to reduce water crisis. Okay, main thing we have to look at, 2 ways there, and of course, how would it affect the industries who use water? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to quickly do this. Concentrate and give me everything you've got. I'm going to put the text on. Hope you've written it down. Are you ready? Off you go. Okay, so let's have a look at what the answers got. First of all, decrease the products will lead to loss of profit. Okay, so for example, if they need water to do their business, there's a reason why they need the water. Maybe it is to cool something down. It's used as a coolant. Maybe it's to put stuff into the certain product that we're eating, for instance. Okay, so all of this stuff, it'll slow the product down. If they slow the product down, it'll slow the profit margin down. If it slows the profit margin down, people won't be able to be paid, people will be retrenched, and the infrastructure decreases again. Can you understand? So it's not a good thing all the time. The next thing is, name 2 ways in which a solution could help to reduce the water crisis if government puts water up too much. More revenue for fixing poor infrastructure, so now they'll get money in to fix the infrastructure. In other words, can build dams, less water wastage by individuals and companies. If you see a tap dripping and you're paying a lot of money for water, what are you going to do? You're going to turn the tap off. It's very simple. Okay, that's how they do it. That's why they put prices up on water and electricity and all of this. Okay. Next question, same thing, don't have to stress. Okay, it says here, invasive alien plants can cause environmental problems in an area. Okay, here we go. Explain the impact of invasive alien plants on. So explain the impact on A, food security, and B, water availability. Okay, so explain the impact, and you tell me how this will impact. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes, 1 minute for each. And I'm going to go back to the text. Are you ready? Off you go. Okay, so let's have a look at what the impact will be on us. Okay, first of all, on our food security. Invasive alien plants reduce food security since they grow rapidly and invade land. They could be used to grow crops. So the minute those alien plants take over, they take over the land, they make no more space, they put a lot of shade on, so our crops don't grow. They steal the crops' water, we have a loss of crops. Okay, the next one we have a look at water availability. We spoke about it. Invasive plants reduce water availability since they use more water. They have maybe roots that are much higher, so as the water rains, they suck up the roots very, very quickly. They put chemicals in the water and that kills our plants, right? So having this type of plant in there is not always a good thing. Okay, now same question, same of them over there. I'm going to give you quick minute to actually do these. Explain one disadvantages of controlling invasive alien plants using the following methods: biological methods and mechanical methods. 1 minute. Let's see if you can get those right. Are you ready? Off you go. Okay, so let's see what the answers are. First of all, new organisms may become a pest itself. That's first of all, may feed they may feed on the indigenous plants instead of targeting the alien plants, since no natural enemy was brought out in this area. That's the first one. And mechanically, some plants that have left behind can regrow or will cost more money to remove them again later. Well, hopefully you've learned a couple of stuff. Don't forget, concentrate, get as much information as possible, right, when you're answering these questions. And until next time, cheers.